Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Harley Quinn, issue number 1, Future State Comic Review. Now, as you know, Future State is meant to be similar to Future's End from the New 52, and this series is meant to be a 2-month series. And yeah, I did cover the Superman storyline. One of which I am reviewing is the Harley Quinn one, which has Harley Quinn working with Jonathan Crane in capturing criminals and giving her knowledge as a psychiatrist on how to deal with them, which isn't a bad idea. And let's get on the story. It starts off with Harley Quinn taking on the future Gotham police, saying, "Batter up!" and basically trying to escape and saying, "That's got a sting." And eventually, after a little mishap, ends up with her getting captured, saying, "I'm sure this is all just a big misunderstanding." So eventually, yeah, ends up getting captured. And we're showing where Harley Quinn is met by Jonathan Crane, the Future State version, who gave up being Scarecrow, and eventually, under the new magistrate, gave him a new life, and of course are rounding up other criminals, and even asks Harley for help in helping rounding up the other criminals, and even talks about Professor Pig and how to deal with him, as they've had trouble with him before. So, of course, Harley says, "You want me to help you catch Gotham's baddies because you can't. I caught you, didn't I? Doc, you couldn't catch a cold standing naked in a blizzard. Not that anyone would want to see that." So, of course, he does the whole kind of, "Oh, I'm gonna leave." But, of course, Harley gives her knowledge on how to deal with them, given the fact she's a psychiatrist, pointing out Pig's mental conditions, his childhood trauma, and eventually, thanks to Harley, they manage to capture Professor Pig. And of course they basically say to Harley, "It makes well that you got lucky this time, but I am a man of my word. Remove her restraints." Which they do, and Harley asks for her stuff and even some new clothes and that. So of course they end up talking about their next target, Firefly, who has burned old areas of his old life from Gotham. So of course Harley has another plan on how to deal with them, given the fact Firefly is meant to be a pyromaniac, similar to Heatwave, and points out burning an old place, letting him burn an old place from Firefly's childhood, which was the orphanage, as this is meant to be used as bait to draw him out. With some of the officers being back up saying, "Can you believe this? Risking our lives because some clown said we should." And so suddenly they see Firefly and basically get in position. And after a few mishaps, they eventually end up capturing him. And of course, they round up Firefly, and one of them mentions about Black Mask, which Dr. Crane says, "Don't say that name." And so one of the officers are a little bit puzzled because all he did say was Black Mask. But he points out that Jonathan Crane used to be Scarecrow, and basically learning that the guy that they're working with used to be a supervillain. And so we see Harley being met by Jonathan Crane, who says her plan worked, and basically wants to deal with their next biggest challenge. So we see how someone is robbing a convenience store, manages to get out, but is confronted by the real Black Mask, who says, "That mask is power." "Roman, I'm sorry, I didn't mean..." And so basically shoots him down to leave a warning, and basically killing off the guy. And yeah, this is the story. So issue 1 of Harley Quinn Future State isn't too bad. I think given the fact that Harley is a psychiatrist, she basically knows how to deal with the criminals, and having Jonathan Crane as a former villain does work, because this is Harley knowing full well the potential and weaknesses the villains have. And since Jonathan Crane masters fear, they're both basically a good match, because one has the knowledge of mental illnesses and other things, while one is a former Gotham villain trying to do what's right. So I think the issue deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.